Beloved friends, good evening.
I am an ambitious young man, and just like Alexander the Great, I want to become the emperor of my fate. Please give me your blessings.
Please do not use this word great for Alexander. If Alexander and Hitler and Stalin and Mao are great, then what you will call Buddha and Mahavira and Kabira and Nanak? Alexander is just mad, a mad, ambitious person. Those people who want power and politics and who want to rule the world, they are the people who are suffering from inferiority complex. They are beggars inside. They are feeling utter emptiness, and just to avoid seeing that emptiness, they want the kingdom of the world. They want the riches. They want the power. They want to become the prime ministers and presidents of the countries. These are the very poor people. So I cannot give you blessing. I can give you guidance. I can give you clarifications about your psychology and where you should go, what you should do, what should be the target of your life. I cannot give you blessing to become a Alexander the Great. I don't consider Alexander as great at all. You may have heard the ancient sage Kanad. Nobody knows his real name. Kanad was a name given by others because he was so poor, he had just nothing. He used to go to the fields after the crops have been cut. There were some kana. Kana means the grains. Some grains fallen down on the ground. He will pick up those grains and he used to eat and live on those grains. That's why this name Kanad has come. The king of the country heard about that this religious saint is living in such poverty. So he sent his ministers with valuable things and gifts for this religious saint. The saint refused. He said, "No, I don't need anything. I have everything. See, I'm so rich." The ministers came back. They told the story to the king. The king was surprised. He thought maybe I should go. He went with more valuable treasures, lot of jewelry and foodstuffs, and he offered to the sage Kanad. Kanad said, "Why are you taking so much trouble to bring such things to me? I don't need. I have everything. I'm so fulfilled. I'm so satisfied. Please give these things to those who are poor, who need them. I don't need anything." The king was a little sad. He returned back. He asked his old prime minister, who was a very wise person. The old prime minister said that you should not go to a religious saint to give something. You should go to religious people to get something. Maharshi Kanad has everything inside. He is the real emperor. You are empty within. You should go to ask for something, not to give him something. He has the real treasure. Your treasures are just nothing. Actually, they don't even belong to you. You have just exploited and gathered and collected these things, and when you will die, nothing will go with you. So these are not really your treasures. Maharshi Kanad is the real emperor. So please go to him when you want to get something of that treasure. King understood the point. He went again to Maharshi Kanad. He bowed down to him and he said, "Please give me the guidance, give me the vision, Give me the teachings so I can also become a king like you. So please understand very well who is the king, who is the emperor, who is the real great person. In last century, there was Swami Ram. He used to call himself a king. He has written a book in which he mentions himself as the emperor. The book is The Six Orders of the King Ram. When he went to America, people were surprised. They used to ask him, "Where is your kingdom?" He would put his hand on his heart and he will say, "My kingdom is inside. I have the greatest treasure within me, that is my consciousness." So ask for right blessings. Don't ask for wrong things.
Mrs. Sashi has asked, what is life? Why it is a fortune for a few and a misfortune for many? When and how to start a meditative life?
Life is nothing but a potential. You can grow anything out of it anytime. Don't ask when and how to start meditative life. You can start right this moment. Actually, this is the only moment which you have in your hands. You are owner of a single moment at a time. You never get two moments simultaneously. Life is just like a field. Whatever kind of seeds you will sow in the field, that kind of crop will come. You are asking why life has become a fortune for few people and misfortune and misery for millions. The reason is simple. Very few wise, intelligent people sow the seeds of bliss, meditation, devotion. Most of the people sow the seeds of ambition. Just in the first question, somebody was asking to become Alexander the Great. He is sowing the wrong seeds of desire, ambitions. He may become the Alexander the Great, but that is not going to give fulfillment. That will bring misery to his life as well as to many others. Life is just giving you opportunity. It is not giving you something specific. It is up to you what you want to make out of it. It is only a chance. You are asking when and how to start a meditative life. I would say, right this moment. Who knows about tomorrow? You have all the things which are needed. You have the consciousness. You can become watchful. You are alive this very moment. You have the life energy. Just start watching that life energy. I will tell you a small incident. One morning, the husband returns after several hours of fishing and decides to take a nap. Although not familiar with the lake, the wife decides to take the boat out. She wanted to read the books, so she motors the boat a little bit, a short distance, and starts reading her book. After some time, a police inspector comes in his boat. He pulls up alongside the woman and says, "Good morning, madam. What are you doing?" The woman replies, "I'm reading a book. Can't you see?" The police inspector says, "You are in a restricted fishing area. You should not do fishing here." The woman said, "I'm not doing fishing. I'm reading the book." The police inspector said, "I told you already, this is a restricted fishing area. You should not have entered in this area. Otherwise, I'm going to charge you and punish you." The woman replied again, "Officer, I'm reading book. I'm not fishing." The police inspector said, "That's true, you are reading at this moment, but you have all the equipments. For all I know, you could start fishing at any moment." The woman gave a very intelligent reply. She said, "Police officer, I am going to charge you with sexual assault." The inspector was shocked. He said, "But I haven't even touched you." The woman said, "That's true, but you have all the equipments. For all I know, you could start at any moment." And this is true about life. Don't ask when and how to start meditative life. Right this moment. You have all the equipments. You have the consciousness. Just become conscious of that consciousness. When you are extrovert, you have become conscious of the worldly things, the objects. Meditation means to become conscious of your subjectivity.
Beloved Master, Mr. Rajvanshi has asked a question. Osho says love is God, but my experiences prove that love is the doorway to hell. Who is correct?
Both are correct. Love is a ladder. You can move on this ladder upward and reach to the heaven. You can move downward and reach to the hell. One end of the ladder is in the hell and the other end reaches to the heaven. So both are correct. Your experiences are perfectly right, and your conclusion that love creates hell, that is perfectly right. But this is half the truth. What Osho and Jesus and Buddha are saying, that is another half of the truth. The love can also take you to the beyond. You can reach to the transcendental state too. Then love becomes trust, love becomes prayer, love becomes bhakti, the devotion, and finally the love becomes God. Jesus has said, God is love, and Osho has said, love is God. There is a little difference in these two statements. When Jesus says God is love, he says love is one of the qualities of God. God has many qualities, love is one of them. When Osho says love is God, he is making these two words synonymous. He is giving more importance to love than God. You may forget God. It is just an hypothesis. Love is the real thing. I would like you to hear Osho's words of wisdom on this subject.
According to those who know man's whole being, his mind, his heart, and his being, love has to be an expression of your being, not an emotion. Emotion is very fragile, very changing. One moment it seems it is all, another moment you are simply empty. So first thing to do is to take love out of this crowd of overwhelming emotions. Love is not overwhelming. On the contrary, love is a tremendous insight, clarity, sensitivity, awareness. But that kind of love rarely exists, because very few people ever reach to their being. There are people who are drinking because they have wives, and there are people who are drinking because they don't have any wives. It is a strange world. One does not know on what logical basis it is being run. Whether there is any logic at all in life, or it is absolutely absurd. You have to, Raga, take out your love from the emotional grip where it is already found by the birth, and you have to find a route to your being. Unless your love becomes part of your being, it is not much different than pain, suffering, sadness. Emotions are not going to help you become an integrated individuality.